Hello, welcome. Delighted that you're here. Each week you'll meet a lady who will be sharing her story with you, and the intention is that you will be entertained, motivated, and inspired to share yours. It's time for women to rise and stand in heart-centered leadership. Join with us and stay tuned. We don't disappoint. Cheers. Well, hello, and welcome. Guess what? It's Wednesday night, and what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we're going to talk about a topic that almost every woman can relate to, and it has several names. Tonight, we're going to talk about the midlife mojo type of talk, but it could be a woman in her second act, her second chapter, and how many other names are there? There are millions of them. But our guest tonight is going to share a lot of good, the keyword, buzzword is juicy information that you're going to enjoy. You're going to be educated, entertained, and inspired, hopefully. I am Joy Ruffin, signature style specialist and professional speaker, creator of Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. And every week, every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., I bring to you a leading lady who's going to share with you what her work is all about, why she does the work that she's doing and loves it so much. So bear in mind that every week you're going to get a lot of good tips and tools that will benefit you. Business women, women in leadership hire me to amp up their wow factor because they are struggling with styling themselves and spending way too much money. So one of the things that we're going to talk about towards the end of our show tonight is style. What is your style, your signature style? But way before that, we're going to talk with our leading lady tonight, and I'm going to bring her up. I don't do the bio and all that stuff anymore. I just bring her up and we chat and we talk about all the possibilities. So I want you to help me to say hello to Jill. Jill, hello and welcome. Welcome to the show. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to speak tonight, for sure.
Well, I'm excited to have you here because you and I are doing the same type of work in a different arena. We're dancing, but it's all connected. So tell us about your work, the work that you do now, and why you're doing the work that you do now.
Sure. Like you're right, we are kind of on two sides of the same coin. You work from sort of the outside in, and when you put someone in a good pair of jeans, they feel more confident. And I work on balancing women's bodies from the inside, working through with intermittent fasting, with healthy eating, with exercise, with essential oils, helping a woman to kind of regain her hormonal balance, especially during these midlife years when everything is just going crazy. And when she feels better inside of her body, that comes out in so many different ways. It comes out in feeling more in control, more energized, and she just kind of wants to share herself with the world. And I know this personally from my own transformation, seeing how that happened. And it's been just wonderful. I myself had a lot of issues that I was struggling with in my mid 40s, as a lot of women do.
That's what I wanted to speak to because what we're
Yeah.
talking about is that midlife mojo type of transition from one body, mindset, spirit, essence to another. And Jill, for so many women, it's terrifying. So, what you're doing is helping to alleviate that and telling women, sharing with women, educating women to this can be one of the most powerful, potent times of your life. Yes?
1,000,000% on that one, without a doubt. That's kind of what the whole Mojo thing is. And you're right when you use the word terrified. I've had more than one client come to me saying she went to her doctor scared that she was actually had something serious wrong with her, and all it was were these hormonal changes, and she didn't know. So being able to educate women on what's going on with their bodies so that they can feel comfortable, and then helping them achieve, both inside and out what they want in life is just something that is exciting for me.
I think so. And the next question, you alluded to it somewhat, but what brought you to this work? Because usually, here's a quote that I use all the time. I'm repetitive, Jill, in
Yes,
almost everything that I
that's
do.
good.
But there is a saying that aging is inevitable, growing old is optional. So tell me, what brought you to do the work that you're doing now?
Well, that's exactly it. I myself had kind of felt a little bit marginalized when I was going through my own issues. I went to my doctor. He kind of sent me home with no help. I didn't really know what was kind of out there. And so, being able to find a way to reach women. When I started looking and doing my own research and writing my books and finding these natural solutions, knowing that I had this answer, that women were scared, they didn't know where to turn, and that I could offer it, was huge for me. And the word that so many women use when I kind of in the beginning started this, asking how they felt, was the word invisible. And that word just, crushes me to know that women feel that way.
Me too. Me too. And you mentioned a word there that I
Mhm.
want to piggyback and speak to a wee bit, and
Yes.
that's natural.
Hmm.
Holistic, natural kind of ways. Because when I had my hysterectomy many moons ago, they
Hmm.
wanted to put me on, I can't think of the name of it now, Jill. I think it was premium something,
Hmm.
premium,
Yes.
premia, something
Yeah.
like that.
Premarin.
And
Yep.
something in my psychic, something in my soul, the essence of me said, no, don't take that. And I didn't. And I'm so grateful that I didn't. But what brought you again to the natural avenue of helping women to use natural products to take the body through its natural transition?
That's good because especially in the midlife years, there are a lot of unnatural ways that people do.
Yes.
There's a lot of things. And so, I have always been kind of a natural girl since my 20s, which is ironic
Mm.
because I grew up with a family of pharmacists and to this day, people who love their doctors. And I always just sought out natural ways my whole life. And so, eating and exercise kind of just was a natural part. And then about 6 years ago, essential oils came onto my radar, and I integrated them into my world. And so, I just feel like our bodies are perfectly made. We are perfectly made. Nature, right? Our bodies are made to work with nature. And so if we just listen to what nature is guiding us and listen to our bodies, we
Yes.
can find that balance.
I love the way you put
Mhm,
that because it's so true. And I, somewhat the same mindset, I always
mhm,
knew, don't ask me how, it's not important, that the body was a temple and
mhm.
it was to be praised and cherished and cared for. And yet, to me, always, not even knowing back in the day, I use the words all the time, old fashioned, old school, back in the day, because
Yeah.
that's me and I'm happy, but I also like the new. But I knew that there was something about the natural, holistic way of taking care of the body that was vital. And you always had that too.
I
What do you?
did. And it's, I think the rest of the world is catching on too. I think that, and that's what I have noticed is definitely I've been working with women now for over 15 years in the health and wellness field. And it was a lot harder early on to get them to adopt these kind of things. They couldn't find the foods in the grocery stores, the things like that. And so now, our world, I think people are starting to question all that's going around us. We're not a well world, and they're starting to question why, and they're looking for, what can I do that's natural?
Oh, you're so on point. You're
Yeah.
so on
Yeah.
point. And this pandemic that we're all involved with, this
Hmm.
crises, being
Yes.
confined, sequestered, and locked in, it's making many of us, you, myself, and others,
Hmm.
go probe deep in to pull up all the best that's within us. And that involves, and you're so right, more than ever, the doctor back in my day, they were like gods, and they
Hmm.
still are. But
Hmm.
you and I know that there are so many other means and ways that you can go to get to the best self that you can be. What is the number one area that you find women have the most issues with when it comes to that midlife transition?
Honestly, and it's funny you ask that because I actually asked that question in a poll on my site a few months ago in my group. What would be the number one thing? And for every single, and I was like, is it your sex life, your weight, your relationships, your career, whatever? And for I mean, overwhelmingly, it was their weight, and as that midlife transition, and that was an issue because so many women, like myself, I had been at my goal weight for almost 15 years, and in a 16-month period, I put on 20 pounds and I
Uh-huh.
didn't know how to get it off. And so we all know, that weight, I mean, women, it just affects everything in their life. If they don't feel good in their skin, then they don't feel good in their life. And it really affects every other area. And they all said, if I could get that in control, then I'd dress better, I'd have better sex, I'd have, all these things. And if they just could get so that's definitely, I would say, unfortunately, the number one thing, but also great that there are solutions for that.
Well, I have to tell you, I'm a little surprised to hear that it's weight, and yet maybe not so, because there's so many other variables involved that
I'm
I would
telling you.
think. But yet we have been conditioned, and we're all somewhat in that bubble of that Hollywood runway model type of physique, that body, and yet everybody is beautiful. I'm hoping to help people, women, to find that, and you're doing it in another way. So I think it's great.
I
But
love it. We complement each other beautifully.
I think so too. That yo-yo weight, up and down, up and down, up and down. I think we've all done it, right? And you said
Right.
40 pounds. For me, it was like 60 pounds. I turned around, I went by the mirror, and I said, "Who the heck is that?" It was
And Joy,
me.
when we go up and down like that, that
Yes.
does something to us internally. Forget about the whole physical aspect that it does. Then we go up and down. There's a lot of physical things that happen, but mentally, what it does to women is so derailing. And so I always say, yes, I teach about weight loss, but I don't even really like to teach about weight loss all that much. I like my goal, if I could get women to stop thinking about their weight, that would make me happy. If women could just accept themselves and love themselves as they are, what they are, then the weight a lot of times would come off, because you can be beautiful at any size. It's just how you perceive yourself. And so that's really my goal. And so, like with intermittent fasting, what I found, that's my means of delivering, my service and education to people. And
Yes.
it's a lifestyle, and it's one that allows women to really be able to not think about food all the time and not think about their weight and just live their lives. We are, like you said, we're in our second act, like you said, right?
Mhm.
And that means that we are the starring role now in our second act. That first act, a lot of us were mommies or our careers and things. We weren't at the forefront, but now we can put ourselves at the forefront. And so that's really, to me, just if I could just get women just to put themselves out there, that would make me I would have done my job.
Jill, I'm with you all the way.
Yeah.
And you use a word there that I like. You said starring role, because
Yes.
so many women don't see themselves as stars. And that's
No,
why I put this title here for the show, Leading Ladies,
I
because
love
to
it.
me, every woman's a leading lady.
Mhm.
And it has nothing to do with her race, her age, her size, her weight, or her money or education. Those are all the variables that come to be. But what happens with women, and you know this, Jill, because it's the women that you work with, we get to a certain age and our bodies shift and it changes and it drops and it does everything. You still have to dress that body to its best advantage.
Mhm.
And you're not as tight, taunt, and toned as you want to be unless you're going to the gym every day like J-Lo. God bless her.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have the time. Do you?
No, no.
So
And I
that's
don't wanna take the time, and I don't wanna take the time.
Neither do I.
Right.
Not to that extent. But what
Yes.
I do want to do is always show up as at my best. And you
Mhm.
can only do that when you know your body. You
Yes.
understand your body. Now, you mentioned the number one. What are some of the other factors that you deal with when you're working with women to support them in the education of aging gracefully and going through this transition mindfully?
I think for a lot of them, it is that, like, giving them the permission to put themselves first, like we were talking about, giving them that it's okay, that if ask for what you need. So, I just released an ebook called Sizzling Sex Starts in the Kitchen. So sex is on my mind, but that's an area that you said juicy, right? You mentioned juicy. But that's an area where I'm trying to get women just to assert themselves, and that's an area where I find that a lot of women don't. They've kind of taken this back seat to their husbands, back seat to their kids, back seats in the bedroom, wherever it is. So it's asking for what they need wherever it may be. And when they do that, and when they gain this control in their body, I
Yes.
think they're more willing to do those and to ask that. And so that's where I think they struggle. Yeah.
And the key is gaining that control in the body. And what you're hopefully, from what I'm hearing and what I know of you, you're teaching them that it's not about their weight, not
No.
to the extent that they're taking it. So that's a big, but let's talk, because I was going to get to your book. You beat
Yes.
me to the jump.
Oh, well,
But that's okay. That's
can't help
good. Tell us first about the two books that you have out, and then tell us about this ebook, which I
it.
love the title. I
Sure.
just love it. So talk to us about the books and
Sure.
what.
So just real quickly. So I wrote my first book 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. No sweat. It's just menopause right
Yeah,
there.
I love the
No
title.
sweat. It's just menopause, eating, exercise, and essential oils for a healthy change. And
Yes.
so I wrote that book after I had that experience with a doctor and I had gone home and I had done all of this research.
Uh-huh.
And the book focuses on what I consider like the five main areas that a lot of women, we're talking about those struggles. So it kind of is that whole hormonal where the hot flashes and the night sweats. We talk about natural solutions for that. That
Right.
was my big one. We
Right.
talk about libido and other things that women have issues with in the bedroom. We talk about aging skin.
Ah, yeah.
Yes, we talk about sleep and stress because that's a big factor. We take on a lot of roles, and we have a lot of roles and a lot of things we're juggling. And then we
Absolutely.
talk about empowerment in that book as well. And I just talk about how food, exercise, and I give specific recommendations for essential oils as well that can be used in all those areas. And then from
I
from
love
that.
that. I love that book, and I want everybody to get to Amazon and
Mhm.
get these books that Jill is talking about because they're fantastic books. And we're going to talk about her latest ebook. But continue, Jill. What's the
Yeah.
second book?
Well, and I want to say that, all of my books, I write like I speak, and so I say
Good.
it's very easy reading and I take a kind of hard subjects and I think I make them very accessible and entertaining. And so my next book was Melt the Mid, and I released that last June. It was a year ago this past June. Melt
Uh-huh.
the Midlife Middle, a beginner's guide for women to the intermittent fasting and essential oils lifestyle. And what I did with that book is I took the 100 most frequently asked questions about intermittent fasting and getting started, and I answered them throughout the book. So the book is actually organized with the index that way. And I really focus, there's a lot of intermittent fasting books out there that are general for everyone. But as you and I have been talking, the midlife woman has very specific needs, very
Yes.
specific physical and emotional needs. And so her journey is a little bit different. And so I share that in there.
I love that. I tell you, what's really fascinating with this, you mentioned a part for most women that could probably be, and I'm asking you, their
Mhm.
number one concern. I have three names. It's the stomach, it's abdomen, and it's the little tummy, or it's the belly. That's
Mhm.
a big issue for women, especially women who are going into that second act because they've had babies, they maybe not get into the gym as often as they'd like to, and numerous other
Mhm.
reasons, health. So that's an area that most women are nervous and cautious about. You
Well,
found that to be so?
100%, and there's a physical reason for that is there's a drop in their estrogen, right? There's
Right.
a decline in your hormones, and so that's part of the reason for the weight loss. But I always tell people we can't blame hormones for everything. So it is the fact, like you said, as we get older, we're less mobile, right? We're not moving around as much, and we're not. So there are a lot of factors that do go into that. But that midlife middle is definitely a big one.
I have found that to be the biggest major concern for the women that I work with and that I can connect with. But and it's for me as well. No children, no whatever, but the little belly, it just appeared there one day. And I said, where did that come from? Tell us about this ebook. I love the title because
So.
anything, sex sells any and every and all, and yet we can't talk about it too much, but we're going to.
There
Tell
you
us
go.
about
I
the
never
ebook.
in my life did I ever think I'd be on camera in front of people talking about all these subjects. I tell you, my children are just mortified. But but even my mother-in-law said I couldn't share this one, honey. I couldn't share this one. I said that's okay. But the truth is, it is an important topic for the midlife woman because people aren't talking about it. So in my private group and things, we do talk about this, and it's called "Sizzling Sex Starts in the Kitchen." How food can transform your lovemaking from midlife, mediocre, missionary to sensual and stimulating between the sheets.
Let me interject here for just one second
Mhm.
because I said earlier, I'm old school, old fashioned, and for me,
Mhm.
everything more or less is back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, one of the first things that I can recall my parents and my mother and my aunts saying that of the way to a man, and you've heard this, everybody's heard it, is through the stomach. And nothing
That's
is
a quote in
silly.
my book. I wrote that because you're exactly right.
Still
Right.
true, right? All right, continue. I think it's
Yes.
great.
No, so that book is that's what I talk about. I talk about, the general connection between the two of them, but then I also go into specific foods for him. I start talking about foods that are not good, foods that can actually tank your date night, and then I talk about foods that are specifically good for issues him or her may be having. I talk about herbs, supplements, and essential oils that can be added to help some of those issues, but also just boost the fun. And then I also talk about kind of creative ways that you can use food in the bedroom, that can just lighten up things. And we're talking about women, and a lot of us are empty nesters now or don't have children in the house, so we can explore and we can be adventuresome, without the worry of somebody knocking on the door. And
Absolutely.
so
You
this is
can
the time for it.
experiment more and more and more. I
Absolutely.
tell you, Jill, time flies here. I'm going to ask you to step aside for just a brief moment. I'm going to
Okay.
do a quick intermission and I'll be right back with you. There's so much more I want to share with you, so hold tight. What can I say? Don't you love it? Who doesn't love talks that evolve conversations around food, around sex, around life and living the life, and so on and so forth? I'd like to invite you to join me here in the Facebook group, Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. You would be a welcome addition, and I'd love to see you there because we have so much that's going to be shared with you over time. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier, women who are in their second act, in regardless of age, who are in leadership, they hire me to amp up their wow factor. And that's another thing that Jill works with in a different way. But we want to be spiffy. We want to be all that we can be, and we can be. And has nothing to do with your size, your height, your weight, and all of that. You can still be stylish and look great and have a presence and confidence that commands the room. And that's what I want to help you with. And by the way, type in the word style, STYLE, in the comments, and your book will be automatically delivered to you. How you can discover your signature style and stamp. It's beginning steps to discovery of your signature style and stamp because everybody's is different, and that's what we're going to learn. I want you to be thinking about all the things that are important to you and how you show up. And that's what we're going to be talking about if you're into leadership. But join the group because you would be a welcome addition, and I can't wait to meet you there. Now, let's get back to Jill and to talk a wee bit more about Midlife Mojo. I love that name. Jill, what can I say? Midlife Mojo. How did you come up with that name?
I've always loved that word mojo, and it was funny when I came up with it. I had my parents both said, "What's that?" And I thought, "Oh, are people not going to know?" But mojo means magic, right? And that's what this time is. This is a magical time for us, and so for me, it just the midlife mojo just was a natural fit for
I,
sure.
I love your language. I love the way you're expressing what you're about and the work that you do because magic is one of my favorite words. Magic, mystery, intrigue, all of
Ooh,
that.
yeah,
And I think women who are in their second act, regardless, have more magic than they're aware of. And it's up to you, me, and others who are on this trailblazing adventure to share with them what that magic might be. Tell
absolutely.
us what's in the future for you. What's coming up for you next?
Well, I am never one to sit still, that is for sure. So I do have a couple of things in the works right now. I do have a couple. I have one more book on my brain that I want to get out, and so I will be
Great.
starting working on that book that due out for probably I'm going to aim for that for next summer. But in the meantime, I know we've got coming up here. The whole well, first of all, with all COVID, a lot of people talk to me about they call it the quarantine 15, the weight they've put on during this time, and now we've got the feasting season coming up with the holidays. And so I'm working on a challenge to help people adopt the intermittent fasting lifestyle before the feasting season begins so that they can kind of be ahead of the game and that quarantine 15 doesn't turn into the holiday 30 pounds come January. And then they're going to really need you to restyle them.
A lot of elastic and spandex and
That's
all.
correct.
I think that's brilliant that you're going to be doing that. And also, tell people a little bit more about your Facebook group and how they can get to you. Let me put up your website here so that people
Sure.
can get to your website and then they can join your Facebook group, right?
Yes. Yep. So I have a wonderful group. We're just at almost 800 women now,
That's
all just very supportive women. And in there, it's called Midlife Mojo, and you can find it on Facebook. And every single Monday, I go live in there and I do a weekly education. Every Friday, I go live on Zoom, and that's for anybody that's very casual. That's you usually get no hair, no makeup outside in my back porch. And that's for anybody just to get on and ask any questions they have about the intermittent fasting in their own journey and support one another. And then just all throughout the week, I just, it's a lot of interaction and just sharing of myself and encouraging and motivating and hopefully inspiring, women to just be their best.
well, that's what it's all about. That's
Yeah.
what it's all about, no matter what it is that you're doing. What do you find as far as the women in your group and the women who come to you? Do you find that it's word of mouth, or they come to you because they see, hear about you and what you're doing, and they know that they need it? Because sometimes people, Jill, they're a little bit hesitant. They don't want to speak up or say, I have an issue with this or I have a concern with this. Because again, aging for most women, they think that word that you used earlier about being invisible,
Hmm.
but it doesn't have to be that way. It should be the opposite. So, how do you get to and approach that woman, and you know her when you see her, who is hesitant about coming in and sharing with you that she really needs to know more about the process, the transition that she's going through?
I think I think people get to know me, especially in my group. I am who I am. They
Yeah.
know me there. And so I think because I show up for them, those kind of people, I tend to attract a lot of those people. I've noticed even when I had my Pilates studio and I did my live, I tend to attract a lot of people who maybe are uncomfortable going to, the woman who I always say, like, in Pilates, the woman who was like the perfect body, the tall, I'm not that woman, right? And so because I'm real, I think the real women kind of, find their way and they want to open up to me. And I have a lot of wonderful, wonderful word of mouth women who I just call them. They're my loyal followers, and they just share me all the time and talk me up. And
I love it.
I've been grateful enough to be lucky enough to have been invited to, events like this, being on podcasts and people like this to share my message. And I do hope that I make people feel comfortable, because that's always my first thing, is to really connect with somebody before I share all of this other stuff, because you can't talk sex with somebody you don't know, you can't. So
Well,
that's
some
my
people
goal.
do, but you don't. I
Yeah.
like to say that
Yeah.
you're loyal and faithful, and those are the ones that you want to surround.
Yeah.
Time just flies here, and I wanted to ask you a wee bit
Yes.
about your fasting, because that's fascinating. But
Sure.
the time flies here, so I'm going to leave that on the back burner. But I'm going
Oh,
to ask
good.
you as far as style. When you
Yes.
think about your signature style and how you show up, how would you classify your style?
Well, here I am talking to you. My 16-year-old fashionista would say I have none, but she has the best style. But that being said, I definitely. I mean, I've always been casual, comfortable. I mean, I've been a Pilates girl and yoga and that was kind of my 40s. But I turned 50 in April, and I kind of just want to take things up a notch. I like wear jewelry now. I never wore jewelry. I have a whole and things like that. So I'm trying to find a way to take that comfortable zone of mine and just make it a little bit more professional. And I bet you could help with that.
I'm going to help you with that. But let me tell you this. I love the way you phrase that, because you said you're casual, but you want to kick it up a notch. And
Hmm.
I think I love the movies and Star Wars, the two of them, Star Wars and Star Trek, going over to the dark side. Too
Yep.
many of us who are casual have gone too far over. So what you want to do is just keep it casual and
Yeah.
comfortable, easy, but a little bit more of a dash. And
Yeah.
that's what we're going to do together. No worries, because you
Absolutely.
have your style. Everyone has style. But I love Emerald God. Kick it up a notch. That's what he says.
There you
So listen,
go.
time flies. I say that over and over. Tell us what you want to leave us with. What words of wisdom, inspiration, motivational, what do you want to leave us with? And I'm inviting everybody to go to Jill's Facebook page and her website and connect with her.
I just want people to realize that, women, specifically midlife women, that you do not have to let society tell you what midlife should look like. You don't have to let your doctor tell you what midlife should look like. Television, you can define your midlife. You can create that for yourself. If it means that you've got to do some of your own research and do some of that, then do it. If it means that you've got to step out of your comfort zone to follow your dream, then do it, right? Midlife can truly be the best time of your life and just the time to find your midlife mojo.
I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Jill, time flies here, but I really have wanted to do this with you for quite some time. I'm glad we were able to. I'm going to ask you again to step into the green room, and I'll be with you just shortly. I want to say so long to the audience for now.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, tonight.
Oh, indeed, indeed. Ah, don't you love it? I do. I just love this interaction, this having a conversation with someone that you have the greatest regard and respect with. Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies is all about you. You are the leading lady. Jill spoke to that several times tonight. I want to leave you a little tip when it comes to your signature style. And she mentioned so many pivotal, really profound points. But I want you to remember this about the weight thing she mentioned. There's no excuse for not wearing clothes that highlight you in your best light. There's no room for boring clothes. Too tight, too short, too long, too baggy, too frumpy. That's gone. If you're in that second act, second chapter, midlife mojo, it's time to amp it up a bit and get ready for your big time to showcase your memorable impact. And that we can do, and together. I'm always grateful to see you here. It's always good when you show up because I know how busy, that buzzword, we all are. But I thank you for being here. Whatever you do, take time to connect with Jill in her Facebook group, on her website, because you will find so much there that will benefit you on your journey. Because aren't we all on a journey? Whatever you do as well, be well, stay well, and do what they're telling us to do so that sooner than later, we can all be out and about again. So until we connect, and we'll make it soon, stay tuned and be well. All the best. So long for now. Cheers. Well, okay, leading ladies, leaving legacies, not ever goodbye. Why? Because it's our time. Join us as we move onward and upward in style. Connect with me on my website. I can't wait to meet you. Make it soon. Cheers. Welcome and hello. This is your Biz to Biz with Joy, a weekly show where I interview men and women in business who are looking to connect with you, sharing their philosophy, platform, and how they serve you. Stay tuned. We love good company. See you soon. Cheers. Well, it says we're live. We're live. This is Biz to Biz with Joy. Grow your business in style. Leaders leaving legacies. Tonight, it's going to be monumental in so many ways. So I want you to grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a cocktail, and just sit back and relax. I am Joy Ruffin, your style and leadership coach. It's all about personal, professional, and spiritual development. And what are we talking about tonight? Well, we're going to talk about construction. It has a different twist. And that twist is we have a Black woman who is involved in this and has gone way beyond what has been to start a kind of new trend. Not so much new, but new in our arena and the dance that she's doing. And I can't wait for you to meet her. I want you to just sit back and relax and tune in to all of this goodness that she's going to share with us. The good, the bad, and the not so good, because we want you to understand and to know exactly what's going on in the business world today with construction. What can I say? I'm going to bring you up and I'm going to say hello, 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 and welcome. So good to have you here. Belle Jackson, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And hello, hello. Good evening, everyone.
Oh, indeed. Indeed. Listen, Belle, I get excited and I can't help it. It's just my DNA. You are truly the type of woman that I seek. You are an agent of change, you're purpose driven, and you are a female trailblazer because what you're doing in the construction business is monumental. So we want to know, all of us, How did you get into construction? Share with us. And thank you for
Oh,
being here and
wow.
sharing your journey.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me.
My
Okay,
pleasure.
so this journey began about 8 years ago. My husband was in the underground construction industry, and on the weekends, sometimes I would go out and work with them whenever they were short a person or whatever. And after working outside and being in the, being in the clean air, in this, feeling the sun, smelling the freshly turned earth, and then getting to use all these new machines, I was just like, okay, this is for me.
Something in that propelled you to say, I want to know more, I want to learn more, and I can do this. Outside of that fresh air and all of those big machines, what other element do you think it was that you said? And then we're going to talk about this later, how you came to do your own thing. But what was it? What was it other than that fresh air and whatever? What was it about construction? Because it is a male, as most things are, dominated business. What made you think Belle Jackson can do this? What gave you that?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, aside from being outside in my element, I didn't see any. I really didn't see any women doing it, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to show these guys that women can do what they do, and that's precisely what I started doing.
Oh, Belle, I just love it. I so love what I do in meeting, connecting with men and women, but especially women like you, because you just gave the answer that I wanted to hear, because it's our time. It's our time. We don't need to have any doors closed for us anymore. So, who would be the ideal client that you look for today in your
Mhm.
business? And then we're going to talk a little bit about how you got the seed to start your own one-stop construction business. But let's talk about now the ideal client that you seek, that you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so FPL, knock knock, here I am, as well as Nextera. And I really want to get my feet wet with, anything that has to do with clean energy. That's where I want to go.
Great. I love that. We might as well go here now, Belle, because you see,
Okay.
when I say female trailblazer and agent of change, I'm talking about the seed of what you started here, and it will blossom and grow. A need, you saw this need, and this is what true creativity is all about. You saw a need for one stop shopping where companies' foundational needs could be met. Tell us a little bit about that, how you came to know that this was something that you could mushroom into a business for you and for so many others.
Okay. Well, in the time that I spent working with my ex and our group, I ended up starting a company. After starting the company, I started getting jobs through the same contractors that were hiring us to do jobs. And they were just like, okay, well, can you handle this? Can you handle that? He'd come work at our offices. And that's what I did. So, thing after thing was thrown at me. And then I asked tons of questions. So, I asked lots of questions,
Mhm.
and that opened up a whole new world for me. I mean, I love it. It was just great,
Belle,
learning more and more.
Belle, you just nailed it for almost any arena and type of work that anybody wants to do. That's why working as a intern or a volunteer, then you discover, you find out, and you ask question after question
Mhm.
after question, and then something happens for the individual if it's meant for them. And obviously, this was
Yeah.
meant for you. So you weren't shy. There's nothing shy about you. You weren't withdrawn. You said, I want to know. And so you asked. And you're asking these men. And listen, what do we all know? Predominantly, people want you to ask them questions so that they can share with you their knowledge and their wisdom. And that's what they did. I love it. What are the key focuses of this company that you have started? Now, we know it's a one stop foundational, blah, blah, but share with us a little bit more about that and how you go about doing that for the people that you want to work with.
Okay. Well, the main thing that I'm doing right now is permit expediting, as well as permit running. I also handle pre-construction and final inspections. So if that's ever a need, I'm right here. I also have I also do certifications and recertifications for first aid, CPR, and AED. So these are my main focuses right now. And as I grow, those focuses are going to expand. There will be a lot more things.
Ooh, I love that. I love that because as you grow and as you expand, you expect to and intend to bring others aboard so that you
Absolutely.
oh, that's what camaraderie, teamwork, and building a business is all about. Now you gave me something here. I have no shame, and I'm not afraid to not know, and I don't have to be right. So I'm asking you this because I don't have a clue about what this means, and I want you to explain it to me and to the audience because if I don't know 99% of the time, they don't know either. What is NABWIC?
Woo!
What does
You
that
just
mean?
got a mouthful, baby. All right, so NABWIC is the National Association of Black Women in Construction, and they are amazing. Okay, when I came into the well, I actually found them just doing a Google search because I wanted to find a group of women who were in construction who looked like me, who were probably dealing with the same issues, and someone that I could lean on, and they can lean on me, and it NABWIC was that everything for me, and they are an amazing group.
Well, this is so
Or
good.
I'm sorry, we are an amazing
I love that correction. I love that correction. Let me say, Belle, that I suppose we know and we don't know because as soon as you start to say National Association of Black Women in Construction, it
That's
makes
right.
sense. And we all need to join a group, an association that's aligned with what our heart's desire is all about. So that's what you did. So you are one who did your research, did your exploring, what you needed to do, and then found this group of women who support you in what you're doing. Now,
Yes.
because I don't know, is it a large organization? Is it a rather new
Yes.
organization? Has it been about for a while? Share.
Yes, it has been around for quite a while, and it is a large organization, and it is still growing. So we are still accepting members, and I should also let you guys know you're also invited to the party. So don't feel like just because it's National Association of Black Women in Construction that you're not invited. Yeah.
Belle, you know what? I'm celebrating you. I'm praising and applauding and commending you. You know why? Because of what you just said. Biz to Biz is made for men and women. Even though
Mhm.
predominantly I advocate, champion, and empower women, I'm all about equality. It
Mm,
hasn't been thus far for us in so many ways, but it's coming about. And you know who's bringing it about? We are heart
that's right.
centered women who are soul oriented, who are about sharing what they have. So when you said it's not about leaving the men out, I celebrate and applaud you for that. No, we're not leaving men out.
Mhm.
I don't think many of them intentionally left us out, but they did. But then many are embracing and bringing us in too. I love it, love it, love it. What advice, because this is really powerful what you're doing. And even though it's been about for a while, this association and what you're doing in the construction business, it's still rather new. What
Yeah.
advice would you give to people just like you who are starting out a company such as yours?
Mm, okay. So something that was major for me and something that frightened me almost into submission and not just stopping
Yes,
is this. When you start getting up here and saying, I think I can't, maybe I shouldn't, call a friend, call me. Let's talk about it. Do not stop. Keep going. Keep your eye on the goal and baby, go for it.
powerful, so powerful. And you know what, Bill? We all need to hear that no matter how strong and confident we are about what we're doing. Every now and then something happens, and it's good to have those near and around us who will always be there supporting and
Yeah.
giving you the truth and the realness of whatever it is. So I applaud you for that. But let me say, do you find it at this time? And this might not be, well, I'm not going to qualify. Do you find it difficult or is it a more of a strenuous type of work that you do finding women, especially to work with you in this field that's still rather new? How do you qualify and bring women to you and how do you vet them to be in the business that you're in?
Okay, well, that's actually a really good question. At this point in time, I am working solo, but in the coming months, I am going to start bringing young women. Well, not just young women. I'm going to say women and men in to train under me, learn what I've learned. If they have knowledge, they can share it as well, and yeah, we pretty much go from there.
Yeah. Well, I think that
Well,
Betty,
I should also say that NABWIC does have uh, of course I'm going to have a brain fart.
it
NABWIC does
happens. It
have
happens.
training courses,
Yes.
training and courses for people that are just coming into the construction industry and that are, looking to further their educations.
Ah, because there's so much out here, Belle, that so many women have been, I don't like the word denied, just have not gone for it like you have gone to get into the business that you found that you had a natural inclination towards for numerous reasons. So we're not going to go there. But you mentioned something in the beginning, and I want you to speak a little bit about that
Right.
FDL. I think we all know what that is. But break it down because I never assume anything anymore, Belle. I've been doing this a little bit too long, so I don't assume because there's always somebody who arrives and says, "What does that FDL stand for?" Because they don't know. Maybe they just moved here, maybe they came from another, blah, blah. It could be anything. But you said you wanted to do a shout out to FDL. Now, what did you mean by that?
I'm sorry, FDL?
FDL, F as in Frank, D as in David, L. Didn't you start off by saying something like that? I thought you did. I thought that's what I heard. Well,
No.
well, I thought you did the Florida division of something, but I guess not. But you mentioned something in your bio to me about wanting to work for a certain company. Or
Oh, that would have been, I think that that would have been FPL, Florida Power and Light.
FDL. I was close. Thank you. You
Oh,
said,
quite all right.
no, Belle, I just love this. You said you had a brain fart. Well, I had a brain misconstrue numbers and letters because I heard F something, but it was FP as in Paul L. So that's
Yes.
what I want you to tell because I thought it was FD. I'm saying maybe the Florida Division of Labor. You know, but now tell us a little bit about FPL. I love this stuff.
Oh, okay. So, in the time that I've been working in the underground construction industry, FPL has always been a constant. Like well, from permitting all the way to doing the installing conduit, so forth and so on. I know quite a few people there, and I love FPL, and I want to be a part of that family.
Ah, now you're talking. You know why? Here's what I know. I have my knowing, and I don't run from it anymore. I used to. This is what I know. No matter what we're doing in life, in business, anything at all, it involves family, relationships, and community. I say this over and over and over again because what you just spoke to speaks to that. You want to be part of this FPL family because that
Yes.
gives you something, means something to you. And why is that? Is this, tell us a little bit more about FPL. Just share with us a little bit more about it. I mean, I heard you say loud and clear you want to be a part of their family. And most good community businesses are family oriented, relationship oriented, has to be successful. So what is it there that's calling your name, so to speak?
Well, I'm going to say a good 98% of the FPL representatives that I've had dealings with in the past have always been awesome people and have always told me, what an awesome company FPL is to work for. And I want a piece of that pie.
I like that. Of course you do. And so you
Yeah.
will have and ought to have, they will choose you and will be making a wise decision in doing so. I'm going to take a quick little break here. Don't go
Okay.
anywhere. Sit tight. I'm just going to speak to the audience and give out some notes, and I'll be back with you in just a second. Hang tight. Don't go anywhere. Ooh, yippee. Ah, you know what Bill just spoke about? She is a female trailblazer. And this association that she belongs to, all well and good. We all need groups, associations that we belong to as such, contingent upon what we're doing. And if you're out there tuning in and you have an interest and you want to know more about the construction business, especially as it relates to women and this one-stop shopping business that she has started, which is where companies' foundational needs can be met, then you need to contact her. And for anything else, because she's an explorer, definitely a female trailblazer and somebody that you ought to connect with. Let me also say to you, put in the comments the word biz, B-I-Z, and you will be delivered a free complimentary booklet giving you lots of tools and tips. This Biz to Biz with Joy, grow your business in style. Leaders leaving legacies, and the legacy is now. It's right here and now. Yes, when you're gone, but you're living it now. So be mindful. And I say that to say that this show, this broadcast, was put together because of the pandemic, and it will continue. And it is for men and women, because initially I started out with leading ladies leaving legacies for women only. And then I had men asking me, and I decided that, you know what? Men and women, we need to get closer to what equality is really all about. And business is business, and people through the pandemic were hurting. So I'm inviting you in. If you have a business and you want to be about sharing your information and your message out to others, then this is where you need to be. And I'm happy to promote you in many, many ways to spotlight and showcase what you're about. So put in biz, B-I-Z, and I hope to see you here soon. Now, Belle, what you're doing is fun. It's beyond fantastic in so many ways. And I celebrate you because I know how hard it is for women to excel in a business that's male oriented. So now this is something that most people might not want to talk about, but I know you're not knowing you. What has been the most difficult obstacle that you've had to overcome in this business thus far?
Well, getting a seat at the table.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I hate that it is the way it is, but this, that pretty skin tone sometimes, makes people, what's the word I want to use so that I'm politically correct?
No. You know what I've said lately, Belle? I've said, and I don't use foul language. I don't curse. I don't use potty language. I don't, if those people, if there are people who want, the they people, if they want to use it, fine, but it's not necessary. So
No.
I know what you want to say, but I've said to heck with politically correct. Say what you want to say. And that's what I started to do. But sometimes I spell out the word. I'll say, there's no SHIT. It's not to be believed. But I don't pronounce the word. So what is it good, bad? Well, I think it's a little bit more tasteful. I have this sense of aesthetics. It can't help it. But when you say politically correct, I know because you don't ever want to close the door. This I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a young girl, I was such a little smart ASS, and I just thought, the world was mine. And I walked through the door and boom, I did the worst thing to harm myself. But I didn't know it at the time. So now I know better. I don't ever close a door. I might leave a little crack there so I can get back. You never know, right? You never know. So whatever you wanted to say, I think we don't want to put blame. There's no blame. We're not where we need to be. And most of us have reasons and we know why, but we don't want to just lay the blame here. There's so many reasons for it. So when you said you want a seat at the table, I get that. What is it going to take to get you to get that seat at the table?
Exactly what I'm doing right now.
Good.
Speaking and saying, hey, I'm here. I'm experienced. I'm set up. I'm ready to roll. Let's go.
Yes. Okay. You nailed it again, because we all have to learn to speak our voice, our message, and do it. The word you use, politically correct, but just do it with grace, which is meaning you're mindful of your language, because you don't really want to. You never know, that person who's sitting at the head of that table might really have a thing for people of color or people who are foreign or whatever. And you want to be very mindful about your approach. So I get that. I get that. Tell me what you really love most of all about the work that you're doing now. I know it's an embryo. I know it's new. I know you're starting. But again, I'm just saying bravo to you. but what is it that maybe, no, let me back up. What is it that really lights you up now and will light you up more so as you move forward in the work that you're doing?
Well, my absolute favorite part of doing this business is meeting people. I love meeting people, new people, having conversations, getting into their world, finding out what they're like, so forth and so on. The paperwork and all that, that's great. That's fun. But getting out there, meeting people, being able to, travel, see new areas, learn new, cities, surrounding cities and areas, that's something that really, drew me to wanting to continue or wanting to start my permitting company and do the pre-cons, the final inspections, the first aid, CPR, AED. I love people.
Well, you know what? Here's an expression that you hear a lot of people who are really people oriented and enjoy having dialogue and listening more so than this. We're doing this, but a good listener. And so I understand and I get what you're saying. And I have a question for you because I hear it and I feel it. You started this one-stop foundational needs met for different companies. To date, I know it's an embryo more or less. What have you found this one-stop foundational? What is the number one area that you find you're called to more than others, that their needs are? What would that be?
Permitting. A lot of people, because of the pandemic, are home, so they're doing home improvements, and they want someone to get their permits in, done, and ready to go, so that they can build that wall or tear down whatever or put a fence up because their neighbors are weird or or what have you.
So let me ask you then, because I'm a novice and sometimes that's good for something like this. And I'm asking for a reason. So does that mean, I heard what you said about you love meeting and connecting and dialoguing and exchanging with people, building relationships.
Yeah.
So my question as a novice would be this to you, Belle. Are you making every opportunity available to you to connect with every contractor that you know of so that you go and get the permits for them to save them time, or are you doing it on your own, or a combination of both?
Right now, I'm doing that mostly through networking. So networking online, and then when I find something that's local that's happening, I'll go to the networking events.
So you mentioned the National Association for Black Women Construction Workers. What about the Association for Men? Are you able to join in with them so that you can get a dialogue and a relationship going where you can do collaborations? Is that a possibility down the road?
Yes, absolutely.
I would hope so. I would hope
Yes,
so.
I'm actually speaking with someone who's out of state right now about some work up north. And well, I just have to wait. I'm waiting. That's all. I'm just waiting.
Well, sometimes we do have to wait, and waiting is not easy for the majority of us, but yet there comes a time when there is a period when we wait, because if we put all the tools and the application and the work has been done, then if it's going to mushroom, it will. So that I get. When you talk about first aid and CPR and AED and all of that certification, you have so much working for you, going for you here. Do you find that it's easier to, oh, this is not a good question. I'm going to back up a little bit before I ask you this. Is it easy when, easy is not the right word, your dialogue with men who are in construction, do you find that your persona, your personality has to change, or are you being authentically you? Now that's
Oh, boy. I'm me 100% all day, every day. So the same thing you're getting right now is the same thing the guys are gonna get, depending on how nice they are.
well, yeah. Good.
Yeah, I do have to, I do have to turn it up just a notch every now and again, because I'm a woman and I'm an attractive woman, and I might be walking onto a job site and guys are like, hey, so I may have to turn up the fire just a little bit, just to let them know, hey, I'm not the one.
You know what? That's what I'm glad you addressed that question, which was well, it's not about fair or unfair, but I really wanted to hear that because how many of us as women have gone by those construction sites and you've heard those wolf whistles?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're into your true confidence and femininity and sexuality, sensuality, it doesn't light you up. So I'm just wondering as a female how that works. And yet I knew the answer, but I love the way you addressed it because that has to be very, very prevalent. And there has to be a stance or a persona, a confidence in you that lets men see I have the highest regard and respect for her, but I'm going to hold off my wolf whistle. She's not going to like that at all. And I get that. You know, Belle, I have to tell you that, again, the work that you're doing and what you're doing, because I know what it is to get into any industry. I entered the insurance industry many, many moons ago when very few women were in it, and forget about Black women. So I get a teeny tiny bit of what it must be like, somewhat, just a teeny tot. But let me ask you this. What do you want to leave us with? What do you want to share with us? What pearls of wisdom, what kind of stepping stones, what do you want to impact us with that they walk away, those who are here now and those who will come later, and later will be the replay and the majority will come then. What do you want them to take away from Belle Jackson and the work that you're doing in the construction industry business? The stage is yours.
Okay. So, well, as I mentioned before, whatever you're doing, go in 100%. And when you start getting up here, you do this. You make a phone call or do something to get out of your head and refocus your energy on what it is that you want. The last thing that I want to leave you with, and I appreciate every single one of you tuning in and listening to what it is that I have to say and Joy, is that, and I just wrote this down, so bear with me.
Good, go.
If you cannot find a good space to be, then create it. Create your own space. And that'll be yours and yours alone. And that's it. That's what I have for you.
Wow. Thank you. A great ending. Because you know why, Belle? And I'm not brown nosing you. You know me, not knowing me, but you know that I'm not doing this. When I say to you, your ending is spot on because it's simply our time, meaning time for women. And we are to stand in our greatness and our power and our confidence, all one and the same, and to share our wisdom and our learning and our knowing with others. And if it's not there for us, to create it. So thank you for that. I get it. And so will those who are out here in the audience. I'm going to put you in the green room, but don't go anywhere. I'll be with you in just a second. And thank you. I loved your ending. Create it. And I think that's what many of us have to do. Thank you. I'll be back with you in a second. Thank you. Oh, what an ending. Create your own. And if it's something that someone else is doing, still create your own. Make it yours is what Belle is sharing with us. And that is so major. That is so important. Thank you for being here. Oh my goodness. Do I love meeting these dynamic, absolutely powerful women who are innovative and visions of change and all that other good stuff. Yes, I do. And so do you. Be and stay well. Wear the mask if you still have to. And make sure that you follow the links here to join and connect with Belle so that you can make sure that you are aligned with her. And join my group, Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. And I can't wait to see you soon. Like, how about tomorrow night? Until then, if you have to wear the mask again, wear it, because we all want to be safe so that we can do the work that we're here to do. Thank you for being here. Sending you always all the best. Soon, until we connect. So long for now. Cheers. We appreciate you. Every week you will meet professional men and women who stand out in the crowd, growing their business in style online. Join us each week. Want to be a guest? Let's make it happen. Connect with me on my website. All the best. Cheers.